Here's something that might surprise you. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a memory and a prediction. To your nervous system, imagining your future with enough emotion feels identical to remembering your past, which means right now, you might be rehearsing the same life over and over again and calling it tomorrow. I'm a nurse and therapist. And today I want to show you exactly why your brain keeps recreating the same patterns, even when you desperately want to change. And the 7 neuroscience-based strategies that can actually rewire it. The problem: validation pain point. If you've ever felt like you're stuck in a loop, where you know what you need to do, but you can't seem to do it consistently, I need you to hear something important. You're not failing at personal growth. You're not weak, lazy, or resistant to change. From a nervous system perspective, you are simply repeating what your brain and body have been neurologically trained to do. Maybe you've done the therapy, read the books, listened to the podcasts, had the insights, but 6 months later, you're back in the same emotional patterns, the same relationship dynamics, the same stress responses. And the frustration of that, the exhaustion of understanding yourself but not being able to change yourself, can make you feel like something is fundamentally broken. But here's what neuroscience reveals. Insight doesn't rewire the brain. Awareness doesn't update the nervous system. And motivation, no matter how strong, doesn't override conditioned emotional responses. Real transformation requires something deeper. Something that works at the level where your patterns were originally formed. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your body resists growth even when your mind demands it. Why behavioral change feels so uncomfortable, even when it's positive. And the 7 brain-based strategies, rooted in Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and supported by neuroscience, that actually create lasting change. This isn't motivation. This is education. And it might completely shift how you approach transformation. Credibility plus scientific foundation. Before we go further, I want to ground this conversation in clarity. I'm not here to promise overnight breakthroughs or sell you on magical thinking. I'm speaking to you as someone trained in neuroscience, trauma-informed therapy, nervous system regulation, and the actual mechanisms of how the brain learns and changes. And what the research consistently shows us is this: the brain does not change through desire, willpower, or even understanding. It changes through repetition, elevated emotion, and perceived safety. That's the foundation of Dr. Joe Dispenza's teachings, and it's the lens we're using today. Not because it's trendy, but because it's biologically accurate. So let's begin. Strategy 1: becoming conscious of the unconscious mind. By the time you reach adulthood, approximately 95% of your thoughts, emotional reactions, and behaviors are automatic. From a neurological standpoint, this happens because repeated thoughts strengthen neural pathways. Emotional intensity locks those pathways into place, and the brain prioritizes efficiency over happiness or accuracy. So when you say, "I don't know why I keep doing this," there is a reason. Your brain is running a memorized program, a set of learned responses that fire automatically under familiar conditions. The first strategy isn't about fixing the thought. It's about noticing the pattern without judgment. When you can observe, "This is how my mind responds under stress," or "This emotion feels familiar," or "I recognize this loop," you step out of autopilot and into awareness. And awareness creates something neurologically essential: choice. You cannot change a pattern you are still unconsciously identifying with. Consciousness is the first disruption in an automatic cycle. It's not the solution, but it's the necessary beginning. Strategy 2: disidentifying from your current personality. Dr. Dispenza teaches something profound that's supported by neuroscience. Your personality creates your personal reality. Your personality is simply the combination of how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. And together, these patterns predict your future. If your personality stays the same, if your habitual thoughts, emotional states, and behavioral responses remain unchanged, your brain will keep generating the same outcomes. From a therapeutic perspective, this is where many people get stuck. They believe their patterns are their identity. They think, this is just who I am. But here's the shift. You are not your patterns. You learned your patterns, and what is learned can be unlearned. The transformation happens when you move from this is who I am to this is how my nervous system learned to survive. That distinction reduces emotional charge, and emotional charge is what keeps neural circuits rigid and resistant to change. This isn't about rejecting yourself. It's about creating identity flexibility, the recognition that who you've been is not who you have to remain. Strategy 3, understanding your body's addiction to emotional states. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of change, and it's critical that you understand it. Your body can become chemically addicted to emotions. Stress, anxiety, fear, urgency, even anger or victimhood. Each emotional state produces a predictable cascade of neurochemicals and hormones. And over time, your body doesn't crave happiness or peace. It craves familiar chemistry. So when you finally start to change, when you begin meditating, setting boundaries, or choosing differently, and you suddenly feel restless, irritable, exhausted, or anxious, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means your body is in chemical withdrawal. As a nurse, I need you to hear this. Discomfort during positive change is often biological, not psychological. Your body is recalibrating. Your nervous system is adjusting to a new baseline. And that process feels uncomfortable because your cells are literally craving the chemicals they've been conditioned to expect. When people don't understand this, they self-blame and quit too early. They think, this doesn't feel right, so it must not be working. But when they do understand it, they can stay with the process long enough for the new patterns to stabilize. Strategy 4, installing elevated emotions before evidence. Here's a truth that challenges conventional thinking. You cannot wait for your life to change before your body learns safety and possibility. Emotion is the language of the nervous system. And from a neuroscience perspective, emotion signals importance, drives memory consolidation, and influences gene expression. This is why Dr. Dispenza emphasizes cultivating elevated emotions. Gratitude, compassion, confidence, calm, joy, before the external circumstances justify them. Not as positive thinking or denial, but as biological instruction. When you pair elevated emotion with clear intention, you're not pretending. You're conditioning your nervous system to recognize a new future as familiar. And familiarity signals safety. Safety allows the brain to release rigid survival patterns and explore new possibilities. This is pre-paving. This is neural preparation. And it's essential for transformation. Strategy 5, mental rehearsal as neural training. Your brain does not require physical experience to create learning. It learns through vivid imagery, repetition, and emotional engagement. This is why athletes use visualization to improve performance. It's why trauma memories can feel real decades later. It's why imagined stress triggers the same physiological response as actual danger. Mental rehearsal activates the same neural circuits as lived experience. So when you repeatedly rehearse through meditation, visualization, or intentional focus, calm responses, grounded choices, and regulated behavior, your nervous system begins to encode those responses, as familiar. And familiarity creates safety. Safety allows integration. Integration becomes identity. This isn't wishful thinking. It's how the brain learns. And when you understand that, mental rehearsal becomes one of your most powerful tools for change. Strategy 6. Elevating your internal state before action. Most people try to create change from a state of stress, urgency, or fear. But stress narrows perception. Stress reinforces survival circuitry. Stress reduces learning and creativity. You cannot solve problems from the same internal state that created them. This is why Dr. Dispenza reverses the typical sequence. Instead of take action and hope you feel better, it's regulate your nervous system, shift your emotional state, then take action. From a therapist's perspective, this is foundational. Your internal state determines the quality of your choices. Your choices determine your trajectory. When you learn to elevate your state first, through breath, meditation, movement, or intentional emotional regulation, you access different neural networks. You literally think differently. You see options you couldn't see from stress. State precedes strategy, always. Strategy 7. Consistency wires identity. Neuroplasticity does not respond to intensity. It responds to frequency. You don't need to meditate for hours. You don't need to have perfect days. You don't need dramatic breakthroughs. What you need is short, consistent, daily practice. Because repetition weakens old circuits through lack of use and strengthens new circuits through activation. And over time, those new circuits become your default. They become who you are. This is how change becomes identity, not something you force or perform. Neuroplasticity is quiet, it's cumulative, and it's extraordinarily reliable when you trust the process. Integration, compassionate reframe. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. You are not broken. You are conditioned. And conditioning, no matter how deep, how old, or how automatic, can be changed. This work is not about fixing yourself or forcing transformation. It's about training your nervous system for a different future, gently, consistently, and with compassion. You don't need to become someone new overnight. You just need to stop rehearsing the old self and practice the new one. If this teaching resonates with you, and you're realizing, I understand this, but I need support actually applying it, that's exactly where coaching lives. Join the Inner Transformation Lab Insider List using the link below. And if this video helped you understand yourself with more clarity and compassion, subscribe for more grounded, neuroscience-based teachings. You're not starting from broken. You're starting from conditioned, and that changes everything.